Greetings, friends. I'm going to discuss why animals aren't worth loving, but humans are. First of all, I'm not going to shy away from bringing up race and gender because we don't all react the same way to animals, although much of this has to do with whether the person is an immigrant or not. Second of all, you'll have to excuse my references to animal defecation. I'm not deliberately trying to gross you out, but when you're discussing how animals are, their crap is a difficult subject to avoid. Thirdly, I don't intend this to be an anti-pet video, nor do I mean to suggest that we should hate animals. I'm merely arguing that we should be more realistic about animal nature. Having said this, I'm going to share some of my observations from life in Toronto, where I see people interacting with animals, and I'm going to share some more general reflections on the subject. There are Sikhs in my neighborhood, and up until recently, they were feeding a flock of pigeons on a daily basis. I saw them doing it for about 2 years. I don't know if it was a religious thing. What I do know is that whatever good they were trying to accomplish was nullified. By feeding the pigeons, they disrespected all the other people here. As a result of this regular food source, the pigeons chose to stick to this neighborhood and therefore dropped their feces all over the place. Thank goodness the Sikhs seem to have come to their senses and stopped feeding them. Personally, I think a pigeon is one of the dirtiest birds, like a flying rat, but far dumber. Besides making the neighborhood unsanitary, feeding birds can disrupt their migration patterns. I don't know about pigeons specifically, but some birds who normally migrate south will choose to stay the winter when humans feed them, and this can end up killing the birds. So why do people behave such a way towards animals? It's because they like giving, not out of a sense of true selflessness, but out of selfishness. It gives them a power rush. Animals don't care about us humans. You can make the argument that some dogs really care about their owners, but birds couldn't care less about humans. Neither do cats. Many animals would like to eat humans. Back in the springtime, I was with my friend and we were on Toronto's downtown lakefront. We saw 2 white women with their toddlers feeding some ducks and swans. Yet another example of disregard for both the public and for the birds themselves. Then a brown man and an East Asian man came to the same spot, each with their very young sons, to adore these animals. It was a good symbol of daily life in Toronto. No white men in sight, and a diverse smattering of people fixated on some dumb birds. Then these people went away. It was around this time that my friend observed one of the swans taking a crap in the water right in front of him. It somersaulted in the water as it was defecating, like a pig wallowing in its sty. There is some similarity between these aquatic birds and farm animals in the sense that their own filth doesn't bother them, nor are they bothered by the general filth of Lake Ontario. Of course, some breeds of goose and some ducks are, in fact, domesticated. Ducks and swans may look colorful and graceful, but the luster goes away once you get to know them. These birds have zero appreciation for humans. They've been getting a free meal, they take us for granted, and to show their gratitude, they crap in your face while staring at you blankly with those dark, beady eyes. A falcon or an owl would not behave the same way. But falcons or owls are completely different birds. They are cleaner, smarter, and more patient as they actually hunt for prey. You're only going to get a close view of falcons or owls if you're patient. Dumb and impatient people get to see dumb and impatient wildlife. Have you ever experienced Canada geese? If you have, tell me. Do you want to walk in a field when you know that there have been Canada geese hanging out there? These geese enjoy soggy, stinking ground. They munch on grass and as you can imagine, crap all over the place. You can smell the presence of these animals from some distance. This is not a creature to celebrate, but plenty of people love feeding them. Canada geese have lost all fear of bicycles, and they will not move if you are speeding towards them. It would be nice to see someone run them over and snap their necks. Pardon me, I guess that's expressing hatred towards animals. I should be put on an FBI watch list, as one animal lover told me. The white women we saw by the waterfront may have been feeding birds because it was fun for their kids. On the other hand, the brown guy and the East Asian guy were actually interested in getting close to the ducks and swans. That's because these men clearly weren't born here. For example, Koreans, they particularly have a fascination with squirrels and with other mundane animals because they rarely see such animals in their home country, which is certainly heavily urbanized. But it's a different ballgame when it comes to white men and dogs. Not all white men are dog lovers, but they are numerous. Even big, strong men sometimes love dogs. It's weird. Some white men can eat bacon and they couldn't care less about squirrel road pizza. But suddenly they see a dog and everything changes. Hey, buddy. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Yeah. It's like a mask suddenly comes down and there's a boy underneath, filled with glee to see his long-lost childhood friend. His behavior is not all that different from how a woman behaves towards a dog. The tone of voice resembles the way people speak to small children. It's annoying. You ought to realize that some men will always look at you differently if they see you speaking like this towards a dog. It certainly affects how I would view someone. A man who gets excited by the presence of a dog is on a completely different wavelength than I. We exist in different worlds. Seeing a man get emotional with a dog is not much different than seeing a man cry about a sad film he watched. It's awkward. I don't want to be around someone doing that. But maybe these men have grown up surrounded by people who love dogs, so for them it's normal behavior. A more common sight downtown is a man walking a tiny dog, or perhaps a woman walking a dog, but I'm more interested in the men. For the woman, it's like, okay, that's to be expected. It's these men who don't even seem particularly interested in this tiny dog. So this is a bit different from what I was describing previously, where the otherwise masculine man gets so emotional with a dog. Here you have these, what you might call, urban men, maybe metrosexuals. They have these tiny dogs, or at least at most a medium-sized dog. And you see them walking it downtown. And he does not seem particularly interested in the dog. Why does he have this thing? I understand that it fits the condo lifestyle where space is limited, but why do you really want such a useless creature? These dogs are small enough that if I ran into it with my bike, it would likely be killed. It shouldn't even exist. It's an abomination. They can't stay warm during half the year, and they probably suffer a lot during their short lives. Some woman I used to know recently shared a video of a small dog, one of those dogs with a wrinkly face and basically no snout. The dog was laying face up on a massage table. There was a towel wrapped around its cheeks and another towel on its crotch. A woman was administering a professional massage to the dog. Not the woman I knew, some other woman. And she was doing the massage quite professionally. And the dog was clearly enjoying it. I found the whole thing gross. I was physically revolted, but the post received a few adoring comments from women. 2 observations. Firstly, it shows that the boundaries between humans and animals are becoming ever closer these days, which is a bad sign. Second, it suggests that some women adore animals more than their male partner. If they have a male partner. It's not like this example is really all that strange. Is anyone surprised? I think that in some, or perhaps even many, relationships, the woman is served and worshipped faithfully by her boyfriend, but her pet enjoys higher status than he does. If the man knows his place, he won't make a fuss about the animal, even if he dislikes it. After all, he doesn't want to take the chance that she could leave him. Again, I'm not saying it's like this for everybody, but I don't think it's uncommon. I've said before that an animal isn't worth loving because it's going to die within 10 to 20 years, and dogs live shorter lives than cats. Some people said that if I believe this, then humans should not be worth loving either, because humans are also fated to die. Well, first of all, aside from a tragedy, a human should live many times longer than any pet. But even if a human doesn't live long, they still are eligible for human love in a way that an animal does not. I say eligible because obviously you cannot love every human. By love, I mean taking time from your day to help another human or simply to be with them. Love is for your family and your friends. It can't be for everyone because not everyone can be our friends and family. I don't think this goes against Christian teaching, because God wants us to treat each other well and act in good faith towards each other. He knows we can't actually devote all our time, energy, and emotions towards every other person in the world, and especially not every animal or animals at all. You can describe how wonderful your pet is, how it can feel your feelings and respond to your thoughts, but at the end of the day, you're selling yourself short. And you're overselling the animal, but the main idea is you're selling your fellow humans short. Some animal lovers are even misanthropic. They underestimate our human brilliance and how far apart we stand from all other biological creation. They consider an animal soul and a human soul to be similar or even equal. Of course, this is not the case. Only man is made in the image of God. This isn't about hating animals or about not having pets. Continue to have your pets if that's what you prefer. But understand that a good number of us will always see your pets as fundamentally dirty, unintelligent creatures. Though cats may claim some exception to this, though cats don't really care about you. They like to purr next to you and lie on your chest, but even the cat lover must know that if that cat was suddenly blown up to the size of a lion, it would not hesitate to bite your neck, crush your spinal cord. But when it comes to animals like a dog, it doesn't matter if you give the dog a bath. It's always going to smell. It'll have dog breath. It will fixate on putrid smells and putrid matter. Your dwelling will always smell like the dog, to some extent. You'll become desensitized to it, but guests will notice. When they leave, the smell will cling to your clothing. Dog smell. It's an animal that was never meant to live indoors, and our culture is sick for normalizing this practice. Living with a dog, especially a medium to big-sized dog, because those are obviously smellier, isn't going to bother some people, just like some people don't mind sleeping in a barn. I've lived next to goats and chickens, besides more unpleasant creatures. When it comes to Toronto, I only have a problem when I'm confronted in public with the smells, sounds, and droppings of these animals, which happens a lot these days. The number of pets continues to rise as Toronto developers build more and more condos, as if we didn't already have far too many of these obscene postmodern structures. Some people say animals are a vital source of love, comfort, bonding, and emotional healing. Sure, animals can indeed be those things for some people. But the people pushing this message miss the point that animals are increasingly used as a crutch. Any medicine or therapy can be abused, and that's what we're seeing in society today. People are taking it way, way too far. In the old days, you needed to have a good connection with your horse and your dog because they were important to your physical life, not your emotional life. But these animals were also required to work and to suffer. They often died younger than would be the case if they were treated as pets. A horse would break a leg, and then you'd have to kill the horse. Though I'm not enthusiastic about veganism, the vegans have a point. A dog is not inherently more deserving of love than a pig. While the vegans insist on elevating the status of both species, I think it's more realistic to lower the status of the dog to that of the pig. That doesn't mean I think it's a good idea to eat dogs. I do think we should recognize that a dog and a pig are both on a much lower level than humans. They serve different roles for humans, the former as food and the latter as security, assistance for the blind, and as hunting companions. Hasta luego, amigos!